Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's edition of the Game Show Canada. I'm your host, Marc Power. And as the world continues to battle COVID-19, hopefully we're in the home stretch here, and vaccines are starting to roll out. Once it becomes available to you, don't hesitate to get it done. In fact, just a few minutes before I started recording this, I had my first dose, and I feel better than I have in a long time. But anyway, on with today's show, and we're going to be talking about Bingo at Home. This was a show that was based around the casino game Bingo. And Bingo is one of those games where it's fun to play, but it doesn't translate into a game show well on its own because it's boring to watch. Lingo is an rare example of where Bingo worked, but that was largely because they had this word game on the side, and it was actually very successful. But there's a lot of games and sports out there that are just boring to watch. For instance, pinball, fun game to play, but it's boring to watch. And that's one of the main reasons why the Magnificent Marble Machine was such an infamous flop. And tic-tac-toe, it would never work on its own because you've got to put tweaks into it like tic-tac-toe and Hollywood Squares did. And that way it worked really well. Some sports are like that too. Bowling, for instance, and we'll be talking about a bowling show in the near future. And then there's
baseball.
Right, see, how many times have I told you don't interrupt me in the middle of a take?
Baseball sucks.
Baseball is not boring, okay?
No, it's boring.
Well, that's your opinion. I happen to think football is boring. I know you love it, but I think it's horrible. Look, it's a little slower paced, I will give you that. But anyone with half a brain would appreciate the slower paced strategy and the methodical approach to it. And besides that, I know you don't hate baseball. You were jumping up and down as much as I was when Batista hit the bat flip home run. And how can you not get emotional when in 1993, Joe Carter hit that big home run and won the Blue Jays the World Series in 1993? You take that back. You take it back right now.
No, you suck.
So on an agreement, baseball isn't boring? There's been going on.
Welcome to the television game you can play right where you're sitting. Bingo at Home. In fact, in the next half hour, you may even be a winner. And here is the man who knows all the answers, Jim Perry.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to Bingo at Home. In our version of Bingo, a number goes up on the board whenever a player correctly answers a question. And when a line is filled, we have Bingo. For you to play at home, just watch. See if the last 4 digits of your telephone number are the same as a winning number up on the board. You don't have to be at home. The telephone, wherever you are, can be your winning number.
Bingo at Home was a short-lived Q&A game based loosely on Bingo. It was taped at a small TV studio in Ottawa and distributed by Metro Media, airing primarily in Canada, but it did reach a few U.S. markets as well. The production staff included a young Howard Felcher, who would later go on to become a longtime producer on Family Feud. The show lasted 13 weeks in 1969. The host of the show was a young Jim Perry, who was a DJ in New York at the time. This was a very early game show of his career, after the syndicated versions of It's Your Move and Fractured Phrases, as well as a show called Words and Music. Jim would solidify his status as a legend in the genre after doing Card Sharks and Sale of the Century in the United States, as well as Definition and Headline Hunters in Canada. At this point, Jim was still a bit green, as they say, but seemed as if he was starting to find his rhythm. Bingo at Home was a simple bingo-themed quizzer. 5 contestants play for the entire week. each represented by a letter in the word bingo. The game is played on a 5x5 board, with the columns represented by the letters B, I, N, G, and O, and each row represented by a different color. Plus 5 free spaces were arranged on the board in such a way that there's no more than one in any column or row. A bingo machine next to Jim randomly chooses a ball with a number from 0 to 9. Jim asks a toss-up question to the group. An incorrect answer locks the player out of the next question. A right answer gives that player the right to place the number under their column in a row of their choosing. The object of the game is to be the first to complete a bingo with a row of numbers either running horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. The player who completes the bingo wins and receives the amount spelled out. Don't get too excited though. Contestants aren't winning thousands of dollars each time. No, they put the decimal smack dab in the middle, and the contestant wins the amount in dollars and cents. So, in actuality, the most a contestant can win each game is $99.99. Now, Wikipedia claims the show later introduced a bonus game where contestants could turn their winnings into thousands, but I have a very hard time believing that, especially given the reputation of Canadian game shows in this era as being cheap. The show also featured an at-home game where contestants could also win from home. In the one episode floating around, the rules of the home game aren't explained, and the only thing that's mentioned is that you're eligible if the last 4 digits of your phone number match the winning combination. So with that in mind, any viewer with a low first digit in their home phone number, especially a 0, is at a considerable disadvantage, since contestants would be less likely to place a low number in the first slot, and those with a high number first, like an 8 or 9, would be an advantage because they're almost assuredly going to go in the first spot. However, they do say that you don't have to be at home to be a winner. The phone number wherever you are at the time can be your winning number. So I guess that helps make up for it. You just had to find a friend with an 8 or a 9 in the last 4 digits of their phone number. Now there's a potential for the game here. It's a simple, easy to follow format, and there's some strategy involved since you had to decide whether it's worth risking placing a number in a certain spot in the board when it could potentially open up a horizontal bingo for an opponent, or whether to place a low number at the top or front of your score just to ensure the win, or do you wait in the hopes that a bigger one comes up so you win more money? I would say even occasionally it might be worth sitting out a question, letting someone else answer it, in order to risk going for a bigger number. But the fact the money is so low, it kind of ruins it. There's just no excitement or drama seeing someone win less money than you'd see someone win at a local bingo hall. Making the budget even cheaper, after each game, a player is only credited with the money they won. Only whoever has the most money at the end of the week gets to keep their winnings. So if I crunch the numbers, there's a maximum of $99.99 per game. 3 games per show, times 5 days, that means the most the show is going to possibly hand out each week is $1,499.85. Taking the show for the max each game won't happen, and winning all 15 games is not likely. So after crunching some numbers in my head, it seems like it would be damn hard for a contestant to win $500 in a week. That's just way too low. That combined with the small, cheap-looking set and the low production values, they would have really been better off trying to market this as a local show in the Ottawa area or a provincial show at best, but not a national one, and certainly not an international one. It's also weird how partway into the run, the show, for reasons, changed its name to The Moneymakers, but the rules stayed exactly the same. Were they just trying to distance themselves from the game of bingo? I don't know. It seems to me that if you're going to change the name of the show, There needs to be a reason for that. And making matters worse, calling your show the Money Makers would imply you're giving away big money. And when you're giving away very small amounts of money, that just makes everything look tacky. Jim Perry's next game show would be I Bet, a film quizzer in Canada that lasted a year. And in 1972, he would get his big break in Canada with Headline Hunters, a show that lasted 11 years. And his career never looked back, as he would add the long-running Definition in 1974, and then have gigs in the United States with Card Sharks and Sale of the Century. So, not all was lost with Bingo at Home. It was a learning experience for young Mr. Perry, and helped him learn how to become a game show legend. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Game Show Canada. On behalf of all of us at Game Show Gumbo, this is Marc Power, saying long may your big jib draw. Become a Patreon backer at www.patreon.com/GameShowGumbo, or check out our website, www.gameshowgumbo.com. This has been an impressive production.